I've been hearing for the last, whatever it is, two and a half years, people telling me I'm just going to wait for Mavericks to be available on lots. And finally, that partially makes sense. You're going to start seeing a few EcoBoosts available here and there. Now, Ford isn't yet to the point to be sending these to dealers as stock inventory. So we're not just dropping in stock inventory and being fed. Ford's still trying to fill up orders at all the various dealers. But these are both retail, meaning that they were ordered, built by individuals in a particular manner. But after, now EcoBoost waits at my dealer are only roughly 4 or 5 months. But even then, these didn't get picked up. So they've become available. Now, the non-tremor took about a week to sell. It's a luxury package Maverick, all-wheel drive EcoBoost. It's the type of vehicle, if you see available, jump on. But I wouldn't pay over MSRP for them because 5, 6 months, 7 months down the road, more and more dealers will have more and more of the EcoBoost Maverick available. Now, if you're expecting to get a hybrid off a lot, I still would highly recommend find a dealer like Long MacArthur that you can order from, that you can trust in regards to reserving the price, reserving the interest rate with your order. And they will that type of dealer will take care of you. Same here. I never charge, we didn't charge over MSRP for our ordered Mavericks, but the hybrid, I don't expect to have any inventory hybrids available for quite some time. If I do have one available, it's going to go really quickly because it'll go to someone on a waiting list. We currently had these two. We're now down to one. The Tremor's been around for about 3 weeks. And we also have 3 demonstrator or courtesy. They're really courtesy Mavericks that people can drive. So really, we had 5 Mavericks we could potentially sell. Now we have 4. And the reason we can sell our courtesy Mavericks is because we can replace them with Bronco Sports. We finally also have a good inventory in regards to Bronco Sports. Now, we took the Tremor out for a drive this weekend. We brought it home. You see the Bronco Wild Track in the background. That's ours right there. Absolutely loving it. I'm watching the comments go by. Thank you so much for making it to the show, everybody. Really appreciate it. If you can hit that thumbs up button, it'll really help get this information out. JM Genoa, thank you so much for sharing your miles per gallon. 46 miles per gallon in your Maverick. So that must be, of course, a hybrid. Now, right now, I'm getting 15 liters per 100 kilometers in this Tremor, but that's because people have been road testing it. And remember, when you get into a vehicle at a dealer to road test it, don't expect that mileage to be its true mileage. Ford doesn't cheat their mileage. When the vehicle's on a standstill in idle, it's calculating, and you're getting worse miles per gallon from it just sitting there. And most people, when they're checking out a vehicle, do let it idle for a few minutes before taking off, especially in a winter climate. They'll want to de-ice that windshield. So it has a very poor fuel economy rating right now. But in real life, I'm expecting most people to get 9 to 11 liters per 100 kilometers in this. People have an all-wheel drive EcoBoost. Please drop your miles per gallon. Or you can always just Google the liters per 100 kilometers, 2 miles per gallon. Google search bar, it'll tell you the answer right there. Baby seat fit into it. I'm going to be having videos coming out on this Tremor. But the baby seat did fit, and I still had 2 inches of space left over in the front seat, despite it looking like there's not a whole lot of space there. So, yeah, it's a tight fit, but we're very pleased, very comfortable, went really well. We're not bothered by the excessive plastic on the inside. Heck, my Porsche 911 1999 and the 2000 both have some plastic inside. Not nearly as much as the Maverick, but there's still plastic in a very expensive, what was once a very expensive vehicle. So I'm not gonna dog on the Maverick for having a good amount of plastic. Now the seat's extremely comfortable. Please, you want to hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on the Maverick content, because we're going to have 3 to 4 videos coming out on this Tremor in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And it was a great one. It didn't have the extra Copilot 360 package, as Ford Video Guy often says. It'd be great to have Copilot 360 as standard on the Mavericks going into the future. That's something that could potentially happen, but we do have lane not centering. The vehicle won't work to keep you in the middle of the lane, but it will, as you start to go out of the painted lines, vibrate the steering wheel and give you ever so slight assistance. So that's good to know for the Ford Maverick. If you feel that's enough technology, as well as the auto high beams and low beams and the automatic front lights, if that's enough, you don't have to go out and buy the added Copilot package to have adaptive cruise control and lane centering, where the vehicle works quite well at keeping you in the middle of the lane. I'm quite impressed with that technology on the Ford F-150 Lightning. You can have it on the Maverick, but the stitching on these tremors is incredible. I'd say I would have been quite happy with an XLT tremor. But this is what I got to try out, and the seats are impressive. They're just as comfortable as the XLT seats. Whether you're getting an XLT tremor, FX4, or just a regular XLT, the seats are the same. It's just the finishing material that changes. Of course, if you're going with an XLT tremor, it's all black. If you're going with the Lariat, it is Activix, which is recycled plastic. Good for the environment, but you see Marie fitting quite comfortably in there. I did wash this vehicle in the middle of winter and ruined my hose because I left it outside and it froze. So people with the EcoBoost saying they get 26 to 27 miles per gallon with the 2-liter all-wheel drive Lariat Maverick. I was actually quite impressed driving this with the snow on the ground. And when I'd hit down on the pedal, the back end, in a corner, the back end would kick out, which is great because that's the type of control you want. Because if it's more primarily front wheel drive, as all the major journals say it is, when I hit the gas to spin those tires, if it was more front wheel drive than rear wheel drive, it would just kind of plowed forward. But instead, the back end kicked out, helping me get through the corner. The baby seat fits in. I really like this vehicle. If it wasn't for the negative equity on the Lightning, I think I'd have to make a move. Gorgeous LED lights. Really quite pleased with the Ford Maverick tremors. And you don't have to get, if your dealer has a non-tremor available, keep in mind these only tow 2,000 pounds, likely due to the better clearance in the front means a different radiator. It's the same radiator as on the Bronco Sport Badlands, and it makes it so that there's no way that we can order this with the capacity to tow 4,000 pounds. So if you want to tow 4,000 pounds, get yourself an FX4. If you find one on the lot, whether it's an XL that you modify up to your taste, because you can always add heated seats, whether it's an XLT without luxury package, so no heated seats, you can add them in aftermarket. Any Maverick is worth getting. In today's economy, with groceries that have gone up by double and triple over the last 1.5, 2 years, we got to search out these deals. Now, we also have 6 available Broncos on the lot currently, and they're not moving nearly as fast as they used to. We've had some for over a month. And this means, with dealers, some Ford dealers are flooded with vehicles. And this means you can get a deal. It means that they're looking for sales. So look for the dealer ready to make a deal. Don't pay over MSRP, because that will get you in a lot of trouble in the future in regards to changing your vehicle. Because guess what? If you bought a vehicle in the last 3 years over MSRP, you're in a near impossible position to change now, because your amount owing, if you paid cash, well, you're just going to lose so much money. And if you financed, your amount owing is going to be quite high compared to what it's worth. And you're going to have what's called negative equity. That's when, let's say you owe this much and it's worth this much. Let's say there's a $15,000 difference between those two amounts, or even 20 if you paid 5 or 10 over MSRP. And now a vehicle on trade-in is worth about 38% less than it was at the peak values. Well, you go to trade that vehicle in and you're getting, just pretty normal. We're back to normal prices for trade-ins. That difference, banks will say no. They won't want to finance that. You'll only be able to trade if you have the difference, the $15,000 or to $25,000 cash to add on to your financing. It'll lower your financed amount so that the bank or the manufacturer will approve it. We'll get into more detail later in the show, but we've got Broncos. Bronco space is great if you get a 4-door. I love the 2-door look is great. I love the idea of the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder 2-door with manual transmission, but you will lose a lot of trunk space. So if you've got kids, if you like to travel with your vehicle, travel long distances to get to your off-roading or your vacation spot, you're going to have a little issue when it comes to that 2-door. The 2-door Bronco still has a lot more space than a 2-door Jeep. The 4-door has more space than the 4-door Jeep, but we're thrilled. We were able to live about over 14 days out of the back of our Bronco, going from hotel to hotel, motel to hotel to resort. We finally figured we needed a resort, and we were able to have all our stuff in there. And I mean, we had a lot of stuff because we're traveling with the 2 dogs, Lily, as well as Winston. So Tim Bartz, Long MacArthur Ford, Ford video guy, makes a great point. You got a lot of people probably waiting on those free standard, and so no added charge to get a 12-inch touchscreen, because yes, people generally love the look of a bigger touchscreen. And as time goes on, people really, do a 4-inch screen that Ford used to run. That used to be like the high-end model. People scoff at that now. It does not pass the test. Even the 8-inch is starting to not pass the test, and more people are scoffing at the 8-inch. People want 12-inch screens and bigger. And we see it often. People, they want an XLT Lightning, but they want it with a 15-inch screen, a 15.5-inch screen. And, it doesn't quite pass. They want more than what Ford is offering. Well, with the Bronco, huge news, 2024, standard is the 12-inch screen. Standard is marine grade vinyl, which we had in our Badlands and absolutely loved. So we've got 6 Broncos for sale. Some Ford dealers are flooded, and that means they're ready to make a deal. So if you've got a dealer in your area that's not flooded or isn't adjusting to the current market, yeah, they might very well still want over MSRP, a dealer adjustment fee or a market adjustment fee. It might be $2,000, it might be $10,000. I wouldn't jump on that deal. I'd say that you will be able to find a Bronco at MSRP, and you might even find a dealer willing to work out a bit of a deal, throw in a present or two to make the Bronco move. I know we've got 6 for sale, so I'm ready to throw in a present or two to make these Bronco moves. So this is a Badlands we've got. Absolutely love it. We've enjoyed the leather seats. Our Wild Track has the leather seats. We love them. Nothing wrong with the marine grade vinyl. And if I've seen in both the Maverick Truck Club, well, mostly actually so far only in the Maverick Truck Club forum, that people are talking about their Activix cracking, or their Activix missing a piece. If there's you've got to get to a good Ford dealer and claim that under warranty, as long as you're still in your 3-year or 60,000 miles, because that's the type of thing that should be covered, as long as there's no, clearly evidence of, it was a car key, a scratch leading up to where the material's missing. So it is considered a material. It's recycled plastic. Everyone thinks these marine grade vinyl seats. Many think it's leather. Same thing for the Ford Maverick Lariat. Fantastic. I find them to be luxurious seats. And that's one thing both the Bronco and Maverick do extremely well. These seats are extremely comfortable. Remember, folks, Marie and I, before the baby, spent over 2 weeks driving down to Florida, driving all around Florida, both coasts, across, back and forth, through the Everglades. We easily spent well over 70 hours in this vehicle, and we never got tired of traveling in this vehicle. Incredible seats. The Ford Maverick seats, the only thing some will say is it's not quite long enough. It doesn't make it up to your calves if you're a really tall person, but we have found both vehicles extremely comfortable. So you see, we've got that. There's that Maverick Tremor right there. Someone has got to jump on it. That is a fantastic vehicle. And if you're looking for a Maverick, if it's an EcoBoost, you can find it at a dealer. You'll look around on the internet long enough, you'll find one at a dealer. Don't pay over MSRP, because if you do, the problem is they're going to start having more and more in inventory at Ford dealers. So if you pay over MSRP now, good luck trading it. Maybe you keep your vehicles 10, 15 years. If that's the case, it doesn't matter if you pay a little over MSRP if you get what you want now. You've got to put a price on your happiness. But if you are going to change it in 1, 2, 3, or 4 years, if you pay over MSRP, these will start actually seeing depreciation. That's the miracle that we've seen in the last, couple of years. If you have a Maverick, you could sell it over MSRP, even if you had 10, 15,000 miles on it. Heck, I've seen some sell over MSRP when they're a year old with 35,000 kilometers. We're talking about roughly 25,000 miles. There's another one of the Broncos. So a Bronco is another vehicle that has sold for a long time over MSRP. And these days, you definitely do not want to be paying over MSRP if you're going to be switching it within the next 5 years, because then you're going to have an amount owing that is higher. Sorry, you're going to have, amount owing that's higher than your trade-in value. And that difference could make the banks and the manufacturer that you're interested in changing to say no to the financing. Banks can't take on an infinite amount of risk. It's risk for them, especially, and insurance companies as well. They don't want to, insure your whole amount owing if the vehicle is good, if your amount owing is going to be a whole lot more than what that new vehicle is worth. So insurance companies and banks could say no to you. Now, Wild Tracks are great. Loving our Haas 3.0 suspension. But the Badlands suspension was also fantastic. In a Badlands suspension, you get Sasquatch suspension without the 35-inch tires. And the tires that are on the Badlands are 3-peak snowflake rated. So you'll have a pretty their weakness is ice, but you can drive them year round. We actually chose to throw that on the Lightning. We've got a tire video if you want to catch from our channel where we compare the BF Goodrich KO2s, which are 3-peak snowflake rated tires, and we tested it for acceleration, we tested it for braking. It's not quite as good on ice and in icy slush as a full winter tire compared to our Nokian LT3 Hapakalite. Always have trouble with that. If it's not, I can read it easily, but my mind always jumbles up those letters. So Badlands is a great mid-price Bronco option. We even have one of the 6 we've got for sale. One of them is. So there's your Maverick space. We're 2 guys sitting in the back of that trimmer. Okay, good sized shoulder to shoulder space for both of us. The other guy works out a lot and is beside me, and he's pretty big, and we're muscular. We're fitting in there very comfortably. We weren't touching. We were very comfortable. Lots of knee space. Now, Mach-E's. A Mach-E, dealers are going to want to sell these vehicles. There's now, even on the Select model, which in certain regions was a year or more to get, you had to order them. Now they are on lots. Bronco Sports available on lots. Ford Edge available on lots. Love the new premium wheels. They're looking pretty sharp. You've got the premium wheel here. You've got on the white one, you've got the Select model wheel. We have 2024 Mustangs for sale. So lots are flooded. Some dealers have really flooded lots. Now we chose to have a big inventory. We ran after Ford to give us more and more, and a lot of dealers will have done this because vehicles were so scarce in the last 2 years. It only made sense to say, you know what, if Ford is willing to give us more vehicles, let's take those vehicles on and hope the good times keep rolling. Sales are still good, but production is higher than sales. So production has gone way up compared to 2022. But 2023 sales, let's say production went up by about 35 to 45%, while sales went up by about 10% generally. And as a result, the difference between those two numbers is added inventory to dealers. So a lot of dealers are carrying millions of dollars of inventory, paying $100,000 to even $300,000 of interest per month. So if you want an F-150, get ready. Don't pay over MSRP. Make a deal. You'll get one. The WB here, thank you very much for being in the show. I wish also that we could choose BF KO2s, BF Goodrich KO2 tires, whether you're buying an F-150, a Bronco Sport, a big Bronco. I wish it was just a tire we could pick out. They're great. I'm loving them. And my Badlands I did 2 winters with the Badlands. I did 1 winter, Marie did 1 winter, and Marie didn't complain at all. Said it accelerated well, stopped well. Dealers are stocked up on Bronco Sports. Not all dealers are stocked up on Broncos. So the big Bronco dealers might think that, oh, well, we can still have, a $2,000-$3,000 dealer fee and an administration fee and a market adjustment fee, and it adds up to $5,000 or $7,000 more than that window sticker, which is very common, extremely common at Toyota for so many states. But for the Ford Bronco, either wait a little bit and around you, they'll start being inventory, or order one or get one from Long MacArthur. If you're in the States, if you're in Canada, you can give me a call up. I'll gladly take care of you. We've got this Badlands here. We've got beside it a Big Ben, and then in the back we've got another wild another very nice, it looks like a 2-door, but it's actually a 4-door wild track. You can tell from the black mags. So black mags, that's a wild track right there. Fantastic vehicles. You can see that's your leather interior with a 12-inch screen. So that's on that's here. You've got your Badlands here. We ordered it in leather. I'm a big fan of marine grade vinyl. We've got quite a few vehicles. So this is going to be true for many brands. So if you're watching and let's say you're a Corvette fan like the WB, I think dealers are going to start, we're not that far, we're maybe a year off from dealers having inventory of Corvettes. What could change inventory levels is if interest rates drop. Now, we're probably collecting these Broncos somewhat because interest rates in Canada on these are 8 to 8.5%. And that's what's getting people to stall on these vehicles. And I think Ford hasn't advertised these vehicles in a while. So for us, everyone knows about the Ford Bronco. But many in the community, we've been into the Ford Bronco from before Ford revealed it and talked about it coming back. And a lot of us had waited a long time and many waited much longer than me, and I'm sorry if you did. But at the end of the day, so many people who waited for their Bronco have gotten their Bronco. So another issue is that Ford has high interest on these and hasn't advertised these to go get new people interested in the Bronco. I'll have people come in that think only the Bronco Sport exists, and I'll have other people come in and think only the big Bronco exists. And actually, more often than not, the people think only the Bronco Sport exists because that's what they've been seeing on the road. These are still relatively rare on the road. So if Ford wants to start moving these off the lots, they'll be able to. And that would probably just mean doing some advertising for these vehicles. And if that doesn't fix it right off, or maybe they'll also accompany that immediately with a lower interest rate. So I'm expecting 2023 Broncos, to either start seeing lower interest or a manufacturer rebate from Ford. There was the Ford Authority article that just went by this week, talking about how the Ford Bronco is now available for the X plan. And I'm sorry if I didn't make it clear enough or say it enough times here on the channel, but my last Wild Track Bronco, I was actually able to, I bought it back in July 2023, and I was able to get a dealer plan for that vehicle. So I did get a dealer plan for that vehicle. And it saved me a lot of money. It saved me a little over $6,000 Canadian. So a dealer plan, Ford's willing to do dealer plans on these. I'm going to expect that they're going to start obviously having employee pricing on these. X plan, what's an X plan? Well, that's when you're a Ford partner. So a factory, let's say a business that makes parts for Ford or materials for Ford. Essentially, it's a Ford supplier or assembler of some sort. And an X plan does take off money, but I do expect as these start, if no interest rate changes, as these start to build up in lots across the country, we're going to start seeing some lower interest or rebates. And you know what? That is big news. So there's your Velocity Blue. Love that color. Let us know in the comments what's your favorite color for Bronco. We're missing Explorers for years, and that's why for 2023 Explorer sales were down. Ford Ranger sales were also way down. It's not because these are bad vehicles, they're excellent vehicles. The reason sales were down is because production was way down, and we just for months didn't have any Explorers for sale. And I think we got maybe received seven Ford Rangers in all of 2023. So almost the entire year we had a big old 0 Ford Rangers available. Now, you might think this is the only lot I have, and it's not that big. We've got 3 other lots with new vehicles. So roughly $24 million in new car inventory. We're not the only ones. So we're not going to be the only ones willing to make a deal. You've got your 2024 Mustangs. It's winter, so one reason to collect them. And also the interest rate is high. Hoping come spring, interest rates, hoping they'll be lower. But these usually sell quite quickly. And usually in spring, people see the line of Mustangs here and have the attitude of, I'll wait until there's a better deal. But then when they come back, they're sold. Usually by July 4th, all our Mustangs are gone, and then the next ones we get are before winter. So we start getting a few in September, a few in October, a few in November, and even a few in December. So that's a little trick for Mustangs. Edge, get one while you still can. And the Escape, more people need to be buying the Escape. It's the 25th best-selling vehicle in America, but it needs to be higher up there. Ford's mostly going to be building plug-in Escapes. Good luck finding on lot anything other than a plug-in Escape. If you want a full petrol gas-powered Escape, you're going to have to order it, because dealers as inventory are going to only be receiving hybrids. So that's big news right there on the front. I did mention how Bronco is now eligible for X Plan. So Ford, probably to help alleviate dealers that have a few of these. They're starting off with, we'll reward and rebate people who work for companies that assemble or produce parts or materials for Ford. So that is step one. Now, along with Ford, huge Ford news, I promised I'd get to this. So here we go. We've got the constraint list. So here for the constraint list, this is pretty big information. We all need to keep an eye on this. If we're ordering a Ford Maverick, or if you have a Ford Maverick ordered, please keep in mind maybe some things you should consider changing in order to actually get your Ford Maverick. If you order a hybrid, I'd say you're probably